Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with more Pillar Loves tabletop games with Galaxy Trucker. This is a second edition, the first one being um, like late 2000s. This one's June 2021. So in Galaxy Trucker, you're trying to make the most cosmic credits, and you'll do that by being in the lead at the end of the adventure, selling goods, having the ship having a ship be in better condition than anyone else's when you get to the end. So, to that end, you will decide at the start of the game whether you're going to do we're going to learn how to play side of this, or level, the level 1 trek, or the level 2, or the level 3. Depending on what you go with, will determine what kind of ship you'll have to work with. The level 1 adventure, the level 2 adventure, or the level 3 adventure. If you do the transgalactic trek, you'll go through the levels in sequence. You'll do the setup. You'll take the adventure cards shown here. You'll be making 4 piles of those cards. There will be one pile that never gets to be seen until it actually gets hit in the journey. These 3, however, players may have an opportunity to look at before they get shuffled into the deck that the journey will consist of. So everyone will have their starting color, their starting cabin, and their little rocket ships that represent where they are in the position of the race, and potentially when claiming planets on a planet card. These various tiles will be mixed up, and then a timer will be set, and it'll be flipped over, it'll say go, and players will start building their ship. It will take one tile. Um, Players simultaneously can take one tile. You have to bring it back to your board before you flip it over and decide whether or not you're going to use it. You can connect it to what you already have on your ship, at which point it is welded. Nothing else can be done about it. You can put it in reserve, with the stipulation you must use it eventually. If it's still there when this is over, you're going to have to pay for it. It's going to count as a destroyed component. Or if you choose not to lay it on your ship, you can return it to the center of the table face up. Eventually, you'll be done building, but you'll have to wait until this timer runs out to flip it over to the next section. After you place a component, you are free to take one of these piles and look at them and get some inside knowledge on what you need to prepare for um, if you think you're going to uh, it, you'll know you're going to have to deal with them at some point. So it's a question of how severely are you going to be prepared for them. Once the timer runs out, you flip it over to the next spot. If it is the last spot, you cannot flip it until you are done building your ship. You can't do anything else with it. So flip it over, and then players have until this timer runs out to completely finish building their ships. All right. So the various components available include structure, just straight up structure. it gives you a way to expand out your ability to connect parts of your ship. So, like, add it here. So let's talk about the connections real quick. These little three prongs are universal connectors. They can always be connected. Even if it's completely, not, even if it's like a 2 or a 1, let's connect. The only thing you cannot do with connectors is if there is something with a smooth side, you cannot have an open connector facing the smooth side. You can have smooth sides adjacent to each other. That's completely fine. But yeah. Extend structure, more crew. Each one of these adds 2 to your ship crew. You will need them to take over certain things. They will get 2 when everyone is done building. Sometimes you might find alien crew quarters. You can only ever have 1 brown and 1 purple on your ship at most. And they have to be joined to a crew quarter. But what happens is, instead of having the 2 human astronauts, you'll have the 1 alien. You cannot connect these to the starting cabin. What they do, I will explain when we get to the proper components that they enhance. Cargo space. These white cargo spaces can handle any color except red. These red ones can handle any color. You will need them when stopping by planets or fighting certain enemies to store the matching goods cubes. And you want goods cubes because you can sell them for money at the end of the race for the adventure. Engines. In order to place an engine, the opening must be facing the rear of the ship. So, like right here, if I had the structure to extend far enough to attach it, yeah, I can do that. Let's say we did that. Engines are critical to open space. I'll explain that when we get to it, but engines are what allow you to move forward. If you're without engines, you're screwed if you get to the open space. Cannons. Cannons allow you to shoot enemies and big meteors. Cannons that point to the front are worth their full strength. Cannons pointed to the side or to the rear are half strength, but they provide wider coverage from the side and the rear if needed. With regard to cannons and engines, you cannot have anything occupying a space immediately behind or immediately in front of a cannon or the engine. It's possible to have something extend and leave that space open. Also, where the aliens will come in is as long as you already have a positive number for the cannons, purple aliens will add 2 to the cannons. Brown aliens will add 2 to the engines. Next component is your set of batteries. After everyone's done building a ship, you'll get a token on the batteries for each one there. And these can be spent during the course of the adventure on things with the very green color to them. The double engine, the double cannon, and the shield. Fairly straightforward. The double cannon is worth 2 cannons. The double engine is worth 2 engines. The shields. They protect the ship on 2 sides. They can defend against small meteors and light cannon fire, but you have to pay a battery token per use. They do not protect the ship from large meteors or heavy cannon. You will know what's light and what's heavy based on the size of the symbol. Alright. But eventually, players will have their ships constructed. One of the things you want to try to aim for in building your ship is not letting there be too many exposed connectors, because then you have an issue with stardust and meteors. You don't want to end up in that position. But yeah, shipbuilding can be pretty chaotic, and that's also part of the fun. Your ship build will probably look bonkers. If you're, when everyone's done building, or if it's in the process of building, you notice something that should not be, like something directly behind an engine or in front of the cannon, or a smooth side and a connector be next to each other. Um, Mistakes have to be corrected until the ship is legal. Other tiles may fall off. All these tiles will count as damaged that you'll have to pay for at the end. If you can completely seal the ship and keep it intact by the end of the race, there's a bonus to be had there. All right. All right. You'll get after building, you'll get your crew or aliens or batteries. Your start cabin will get the two, and then all the cards, including the 2 mystery ones, will get shuffled into the adventure deck. The top card must match the current level of flight. So we're level 1, so that's fairly straightforward. Other, you know, other flight levels will add some tougher challenges or lucrative rewards. All right. But the person that declared their ship finished starts in the 1 position, and then everyone else, as they finish, will add their ships to the track. Let's just throw them all out there. All right. So, adventure deck has been shuffled. We'll actually go to the flight. So, leader reveals the top adventure card, and players resolve it. It's usually going to be in order from front to back. When the last adventure card's pulled, that'll be the end of the flight, and players can get rewards. Um, you want to try to stay in the race as much as possible. If things happen, you're going to be out of the race, and will probably losing a lot of money in the process. Okay. So here are the adventure cards. Meteor Swarm. The little ones can be deflected with uh, smooth components and shields. Large ones have to be deflected with cannons. If you can't deflect something, well, you'll find out if you'll need to deflect it in the first place by rolling 2 dice. This big one's coming from the front. And it's gonna hit column 8 for my ship. Well, it's gonna actually be um, this column for everybody. So I'm gonna need at least one cannon here to stop this. The ones that are coming from the side, I'll either need like a double cannon or 2 cannons. So, like right there. Um, Actually, it should be fine when it's a small meteor. The only thing you have to worry about with small meteors is if you have exposed connectors on that side and no shield to protect. So, if I've got exposed connector, but I've got a shield, I need to have a battery to spend and protect that exposed connector. If I don't, component gets destroyed. If anything's not connected to the ship anymore, it's gonna fall off. But yeah, meteor swarms are one of the main threats you're gonna deal with in the game. Open space. For every engine you have and can power if needed, uh, you go forward that far. Person in the lead goes first. If you have no engine components left, even if you have a brown alien, you're done. But if you have the engine and the brown alien, there's +2 to whatever engines you power up. It's only the double engines where you actually have to spend the batteries, but the ones you just have that are regular will give you the engine power anyway. It's entirely possible that with enough engine power, you can get ahead of the player in front of you. You have to declare engine strength, so this is when you decide whether or not to actually do so for empowering those engines. Stardust. In reverse order, each player counts exposed connectors and moves back that many flight days. So everything you've got pointed out into space, not connecting to anything, is going to count against you, and you're going to be moved back. One of the things that can happen in this game is um, if you if the leader gets ahead of you after everything's resolved, you're out of the race. Yeah, you want to try to seal off your ship the best you can. Abandoned station. In order, each player who has enough crew decides whether or not to take the reward. Only one player can take it. They lose flight days, but not the crew. You have to have at least 5 crew. Aliens do not count. You don't lose them, but you lose the flight day and you pick up the goods. You're going to need the cargo space for the goods. You can always ditch cargo that's not worth as much to take it. Pirates! you need to have this many cannons to defeat them, which will cost you a flight day and get you money. You have the option to defeat them, but not lose anything or gain anything out of it, which saves other players the trouble. If you don't defeat them, you get hit with their gunfire. You'll roll for all players simultaneously, once you know who's penalized. If it's a tie, the enemy moves on to the next player. But if you do win, you have that option to take the money. And money is going to be how you win. But you'll declare cannon strength. You'll decide whether or not to spend power to um, add your cannons. If you have sideways facing cannons, they'll count as half. Yeah. Planets. You have the option to lose a flight, this many flight days, and land your extra ship on one of these planets and take the goods. If you have the cargo space, um, if your cargo space is running out, you might choose to pick up something worth more and discard something worth less. It's up to you. If you land on a planet and no one else can land on it, once everyone's decided and gotten their goods and everything else, the card's resolved, and we go on to the next one. Combat Zone. So from top to bottom, each player uh, counts the appropriate parameter. The player with the lowest value takes the penalty. If there's a tie, the one farther ahead suffers. So the player with the least crew loses flight days. The player with the least engine power loses crew. Um, Players can decide to spend batteries in their order. Players with the least cannon power get shot. Yeah. Combat zones are brutal. And finally, we've got the abandoned ship. You have the option to permanently give up that many crew and take the reward at the cost of one flight day, or that many flight days. If you ever, again, if you're out of human crew, you are out of the race. But you'll still have that. You'll have that money, but you'll be out of. You won't be able to claim the final order or the best looking ship, and you'll only be able to sell goods at half their value. So make that decision very carefully. There are other kinds of enemies to find, like the slavers, which will take your crew, the smugglers, which will take your goods. So other stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, things get even crazier with all the meteors. Epidemic. Remove one crew member, human or alien, for each cabin that is joined to another occupied cabin. That's just mean. And there's another kind out here as well. Let's see if I find it. I believe it's sabotage. The player with the fewest crew members is sabotage. Among players tied for the fewest, only one further ahead is sabotaged. They roll two dice to determine a column, and then two dice to determine a row. The component at that location to destroy. If the first try misses, roll again. The second misses, roll again, and if the third misses, there's no effect. Ignore sabotage if only one player is left in the flight. Um, oh yeah. Combat zones are also ignored if there's only one player left in the flight as well. All right, and I think that's it. This is yeah, level 30 stuff is more lucrative, but more dangerous. All right. One of the let me finish this. All right. Once the adventure cards run out, you will look at who's ahead. They'll have they'll get the big bonus. Then the player behind them, player behind them. You have to still be in the race to claim that. Best looking ship. You count the number of exposed connectors. The player with the fewest scores the bonus. Players that were out of the running don't get considered. You sell your goods worth 4, 3, 2, and 1 respectively. And then finally, after you figure that out, oh, if you're taken out of the running, your goods your good value is half. Take those cosmic credits. And finally, whatever ship components were destroyed, you'll lose 1 credit. If you just choose like the one race, the most cosmic credits wins right now. One of the ways to play this game is the transgalactic trek. You will do the level 1 flight, and then the level 2, and then the level 3. With all the appropriate cards. A number of randomly decided title equal to the number of players will be uh, featured for players to claim at the end of the first adventure, the flight. Um, each players will score for each title based on certain parameters. It's possible for one person to get multiple titles, but they'll have to give up one of them to another player. And doing so gets 2 credits. During the second flight, if you can still claim your title, you have defended it, and you get the credits. You get 4 credits, and you flip it over to the gold. A title that is flipped over to gold adds a new restriction. But if you defend it, it's worth 12 gold. If you still have a silver title at this point that you might have claimed from someone else, you'll get 6 credits, and the most credits will win. But you'll be building up that money over several flights. This particular revision, this is a new thing that I've seen. Yeah. Why do I love this game? You know me. You know I love EVE Online. You know I love the experience of having my own ship, being able to take a modular approach to how it comes together and make it my own, and then take on challenges and fight pirates and get goods and make money, and it's just a fun time. This is the closest I've gotten to the EVE Online Capsular experience, and even if I just leave the game, leave EVE out of the equation, it's still an excellent game. There are moments where this game can feel kind of frustrating. Yes, there are dice involved. You might luck out, or you might get hurt pretty bad. you might get massively screwed. But that's the thing about space adventures. You never know what's going to happen. And all you can do is prepare. You can try to rush through building for the advantage of going first, or you can be more methodical and plan things out better for a better looking ship. You can take the time to look at the adventure cards and be ready for what's coming. This is there's going to be some cards you're not going to know about and you're going to have to get. But you can look at most of the cards after you've added one component and start preparing by looking for certain pieces and trying to get an idea of what you want to achieve with your ship. But most of all, it's just fun. It's wild. It's awesome. It's epic going from, little to a little bit bigger to absolutely massive ship over the course of a session. There's not a whole lot of other games like this. This this is this is the experience I've been looking for, and I'm glad I could find it again thanks to the re-release. The older edition of this game was stupid expensive, so the fact that this version is probably about half that price is highly recommendable now more than ever. So, Galaxy Trucker, it's a fun space game, and I love it. All right. Thanks very much for watching. This has been Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, and I'll see you next time.